the hangout. This hangout on air is now live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. And I've just suddenly realized you're looking at the guests rather than looking at me. So I'll say that again. Hi, folks. Welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. And, as you've already seen, I'm going to be chattering with Kevin Martin, Cody Kennedy, and Tim Rutherford today. Say hi, guys.
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
And if you'd just like to identify yourselves for the guys at home, please.
Sure. I'm Kevin Martin.
Cody Kennedy. And Tim Rutherford.
Tim Rutherford. Hey, excellent. Okay. And as I said to the guys, as long as they stay in that order, I've got an idea of who they are. It's like talking to the Susker sisters. I know that Jen usually sits on my left, so I can recognize her. Cool. All right. So before we go into tonight's show, I just very briefly wanted to remind people that for next week's show, Paul Kane will be joining me, and he desperately looks over to his left for the books that he had. There we are. I had these. This is what I'm going to be discussing next week. Paul Kane's book, Monsters, for which I wrote the introduction. And we're going to be talking generally about monsters as well. Paul and I are going to come up with our list of top 3 literary monsters, top 3 movie monsters. We've kind of agreed that Hellraiser is a given in all of those, and Nightbreed as well. But we'll be asking you, my audience, to chip in with your tops as well and contribute. Let's find this. We kind of see if I can actually work out a way of getting a poll as to what our top monsters are for everybody who's viewed and contributed. I'll work on that. Cool. All right. So the reason that I'm talking to these lovely gentlemen today is we're going to be discussing straight to video, the B-Movie Odyssey, which will be coming out on YouTube, we think, sometime either tomorrow or sometime this week via Telus Optic. But I'm going to hand over to these guys to explain a little bit more about it and so on. So first off, Kevin, can you explain to me exactly where you are sitting? What is this wonderful place you're sitting in?
Well, Nicholas, we are sitting in literally the last video store in the city we live in, which is Edmonton, Canada, which was Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Yes. Yeah, all right. Which is the nucleus of all of the short films that we've worked on that led up to straight to video. This is like, I don't know, the store, I guess, is the heart of how this all came to be. This is my store. I am a business owner. Not a good one because I still have a video store, not much future in that, but because of the shop, and I got to meet these 2 fine gentlemen here who are some fantastic filmmakers. And over the last few years, it's created some silly videos that we've made that have led to this point. But yes, this is a real video store you're looking at, and you know, it's a place of magic that inspires us all to make what we make, I guess. Yeah.
And I'm just looking at a couple of things behind you. We've got the Mates Hotel, and as I pointed out earlier on, there's a pinhead there holding Scarlet Gospels.
Yeah, just finished the book. It was awesome. I was very satisfied with it.
Flip the camera so I can take a tour, but because we're just sitting like in this chilled out area where there's like the TV and stuff, but on this side,
yeah, this is like the living room side of the store. The rest of the store is just movies everywhere. But if I gotta be 6 or 7 days a week, I wanted to be comfortable, kind of like home away from home. Even though I guess this is mainly my home. So yeah.
I got keys.
Okay. Yeah, you got keys.
That's very trusting of you. And the other thing I notice is you've got a whole load of figurines in the background there, in a coffin, by the looks of it.
Yeah, I noticed that, eh? Yeah, it started off as a small collection, and then customers are just generous enough to keep adding on and bring them to the store because they have no use for them and they don't know what to do with them. They think of my store first. They're like, Kev, let's just donate this to your store. I know it'll be proudly displayed. So I'm like, and I'm very open to taking these items. So it's accumulated over the last 10 years or so. But I'm living in a room.
That's brilliant. Okay, and Cody, you perhaps we mentioned earlier on that you guys met, you've made some films together, but how did that whole all start? Were you friends with Tim first, and you both went to the store, or did you meet through the store?
Tim and I actually went to high school together, and then ever since then we were dreaming of making movies and trying to make short films and everything. And then eventually, once we finished high school, there's a film festival called Dead Fest that happens in Edmonton, which is Kevin puts on with a couple other guys. And they basically, they had a contest, short film contest, and we decided to enter with a short film. And it was all right. It wasn't all that good. And then they kept doing it every month. And then eventually we made a short film that they liked. And basically there was a screening of, well, that's how we all met. And then once we started doing the shorts, it was because there was a screening of Michael the Visitor. The Visit.
The Victim.
Victim.
The Victim.
Oh, why am I thinking The Visitor?
Yeah.
The Victim. And they had brought Michael Biehn and his wife Jen down to the screening. So they were going to premiere it here, and they wanted to do like a montage of all of Michael Biehn's best moments. So they asked Tim and I if we could put a montage reel together, and we thought, oh, why don't we do like a little short film like beforehand? Because our one good friend Josh, who appears in Straight to Video, and he's pretty much in every episode of like the shorts that we did in here. He does a really awesome Michael Biehn impression. So we thought, oh, why don't we do a short? And we wanted to shoot this at like the local theater, which we couldn't get, and the only place we could shoot it was in the video store. So that's how that all started.
I think so. Josh, I thought I recognized him.
Damien
that comes back in.
Yeah, he's in the second episode, and yeah, it was real quick. So we showed that tribute, and Michael Biehn loved it, and our audience was like, that was great. What are you guys doing next month? Because we have monthly movie screenings. Like nothing. It was a one-time thing. So for a while, whatever movie we were showing at our festival, we would make a parody of it here in the video store, whether it was Battle Royale or Army of Darkness or Poltergeist. And then eventually we were showing Astron 6's Father's Day. So this is 2012. And we're like, we can't make a spoof of this because nobody's seen this movie yet. So we're like, well, let's do something original. So it involved me, and Josh was my fake employee that works here at the store that I can't afford to pay. And he's a terrible employee. And the villain was Netflix, or as we called them, Nedflix. And it was just them trying to destroy my store physically with goons and stuff. And then it just took a new life on from there.
Yeah, it really spun out of control, and we just kept doing the original ones. I mean, we even had that follow-up with Matt Kennedy from Astron 6, did a little cameo in one of those, and that started down the path. And he makes Connor, Adam, and Matt all make cameos in Straight to Video. So we've been having a great relationship with those guys, and they became our friends, and just keeping it Canadian.
It's one of the perks of having a film festival in town, because when we had this project Straight to Video come up, we're like, well, thanks to the fest, we met these fine gentlemen, so we can maybe call them and see if they want to partake in our little project. And yeah, it was a really community thing going on.
Yeah, well, it was the film festival that really galvanized us in what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it and who we wanted to do it with. And this video store is literally inspiration on every shelf, so it made it a very easy place to sit down and come up with ideas. And why not try and honor Kevin, because he claims that it's a grumpier version of himself that he plays, but as one of the writers, I've definitely tried to capture how he was when we met him. Now he's
grumpy.
A lot more grumpy.
Yeah, he was a lot more grumpier than he is nowadays, because everybody knows who he is.
So this is the film festival, Dead Fest, and you screen every month, or is?
Well, our big festival is every October. It's a week long, so it's coming up October 20th to the 25th. But every month we do have monthly screenings as well. It's one of the few fests where, like, that way, if a movie that we were hoping to get for October, you know, it's getting an earlier release of the year, we can use those monthly slots to screen it anyway. So, but yeah, we've been doing the fest for about 8 years, and for these two guys, because Tim and Cody, they became our go-to. Whatever short film you make, it's going to be gold, and we'll show it. So they definitely had the luxury of using our audience as a litmus test. So like, okay, people are liking this more than this. So, So we used our crowd as guinea pigs, basically. What do you guys think of this? We didn't give them a choice. Like, you paid to see this movie, but we're showing you the short movie in front of it. So thoughts, please. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. And how many? So obviously, there's the three of you, and there's the two guys, Cody and Tim, particularly working together. But how many other people are involved in making the short films?
I'd say about 15 mainstays now, and most of them are from Deadfest. There's some Deadfest audience, and some of Kevin's like longtime clientele that just really loved the shorts, and they came out and volunteered, and we just glued this team together, and we got those guys that branched off to make like special effects on their own, and they're killing it, and then we got a crew of, you know, the director, the shared director of photography, cameraman, the lighting director, and our AD were all local filmmakers here in Edmonton who we just met through Deadfest and the Metro Shorts contests. And it's a great community of little independents, filmmakers in the city, and we've all kind of come together under the House of Heathens banner to make films, and they really turned our funny little shorts that we were just making ourselves into something that will go worldwide, and people are loving it everywhere. So I got a big shout out to all of our crew here in Edmonton if you guys are up and watching.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, as thing as we all know, it takes an awful lot of people to make a movie. Kevin, you mentioned, we were talking earlier on, you're saying this is literally the last video store in Edmonton.
Yes.
And so what sort of business what is your business? What is it you do with videos?
Well, you know, because the reason I can still survive is, believe it or not, this store that you're seeing here, I'm a basement video store, and above me is a daycare center. So it's a very hidden video store. And the kids are the most terrifying thing in this building, by the way. But the reason I've been able to survive is you can still, you know, do the classic renting movies through my store, and you can just buy. I do a lot of special orders. I've purposely chosen only to deal with the movies that I truly love, horror movies and grindhouse cinema, and just the more outrageous titles. To me, I figured there's no point in bringing anything that you could find off of Netflix or Hollywood mainstream. And us fans that are into these movies, we're still collectors. It's no different than, you know, music stores closing, but people still love their vinyl, you know. And until a movie like Cannibal Holocaust hits Netflix, which I don't think it will, I'm doing all right. So, and I am luckily located in our city. I'm located definitely in the arts district, I guess. And I definitely have the bonus of, because I also help run a film festival, we get the good crossover crowd too. So, am I rolling in the money? Oh, no, dear God, no. I still have to work at nightclubs 5 nights a week. But when it's a labor of love, it's a labor of love. So,
and what? So we talk about video in a kind of a generic term. Is it cassettes and DVDs or that you stock?
It's basically all DVDs. Although, you know, it's funny. A lot of people have been donating their old VHS cassettes to me. So I have. You can't see it here, but I got a little section of VHS. But they're just for display purposes. But now it's all coming back. Now I get people coming in. Hey, Kev, how much for the VHS? I'm like, well, those aren't for sale. Those are just for display purposes. And they're like, well, would you rent them? And I'm like, you know, maybe I should just start renting VHS again. I don't know. It's just odd to me how it is coming back. And I feel terrible because relating back to everything we filmed, we have destroyed many VHS tapes for our short films. 1,800 VHS tapes, easy. And I kind of feel bad about it.
Most of them are like Disney movies and Titanic.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire.
I have a few copies of Speed, but there's just so many copies of Speed in the world that I've probably used like 12 on those costumes and on the set designs and stuff where we're utilizing these tapes. We definitely filter through them. I mean, we got Society and an original print, which I'm damn proud of.
You should be. But, you know, if we're using the tapes like art, like in the short, which you've seen, you notice my desk is made out of VHS tapes. I mean, that to me is not destroying tapes. That's, you know, creating art. That was beautiful. So, but But yeah, I don't know. I think I might still attempt to start renting VHS tapes again. I just got my hand on a bunch of VCRs, I guess, which are also hard to come by these days. I mean, I got late.
I've still got the VCR. Funnily enough, I was just looking at. I'm hanging on to the VCR because I wrote a short film, which requires a flashback to the 1980s, and therefore I need a VCR. But I was amazed you can actually still buy. I don't know if it's true over there, but actually in UK you can still buy VCR tapes, VHS tapes on Amazon, blank tapes for recording stuff, presumably. It's the only reason I could.
Yeah, you still can. In fact, there's a couple like antique stores where they're still in the wrapping too. Yeah, I mean, you know, finding a VCR is tough. Finding a beta player was even tougher. I mean, the fact that we had a fully working beta player, those things were built to last. I mean, the beta player we use works.
It's like 100 pounds.
It's 100 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the VCRs back then. I mean, my mother still has the same VCR she bought in 1982. It's wooden paneled, and the thing weighs about 100 pounds. And the remote is just you plug it in. You have two options: play, pause, play, pause. But that was some high tech shit back then. It was beautiful. But yeah, I mean, you know, now we go through DVD players every 3 months or Blu-ray players.
Yeah,
they're not meant to last anymore.
Yeah, no, that's such tiny little things. I'm noticing the size of box that I've got for the different things, and they're just getting smaller and smaller and smaller as time. And they're all made out of plastic. You know, they used to be metal boxes, but they're now all made out of plastic. I think you kind of referred to that Tim actually makes some of the practical effects. Is that right? But you seem to do an awful lot of stuff. But Tim, tell me about the practical effects. How did you get into doing that?
Well, it started in high school. Cody is the camera guy, the editor, and the DOP, so I had to find something to do. I all those kind of effects that, you know, movies like The Fly and The Thing really set me off to really bring those kind of things to life. And, you know, movies like Jurassic Park, where they got these 30-foot animatronics, like it brings the magic out of all situations where you got a monster or a bloody hand. It just does so much more, I think, for the film to have a practical effect that really brings that together. So starting out, I just really took a liking to it, and turned out I was pretty good at kind of gluing things to other things and fitting somebody inside of all of it somewhere. So as we kind of progressed, I played a lot of those monsters too. I was the tree beast there in the Night of the Tree Beast, and the dude in MS for Magnetic Tape. Although now in straight to video, I've let somebody else do it and kind of tried to take the director's chair a bit more seriously, but hard to direct while you're behind a giant TV that you cut a hole in so that you can fight your friends. But it makes I feel like the practical really makes the magic palatable and tangible, something for them, like the audience, to really get behind.
And the other question I wanted to ask in that case is, did you train? You said you guys met together at high school. Did any of you go to film school or anything, or study media or study film?
No, just all do it yourself. Books, YouTube.
Yeah, 12-year-old kid showing us how to use computers and YouTube video tutorials.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of trial and error. Yeah, a lot of determination, a lot of trial and error, a lot of tough times. But it's easy to make it with good friends. You know, it's easy to live your dreams while you're surrounded by your best friends. So we just try to stay true to that. And yeah, we met in grade 10 English class, and we were both drawing pictures of Akira, and we're like, "You like that stuff? Oh, so do I." And yeah, ever since that time, we were in drama class. Somebody handed us a camera, and we're like, "Nah, theater's okay, but it's hard to make somebody's head explode." So we went cinema.
And you mentioned that you kind of write and Cody does the DOP and the editing. So what camera do you use, Cody?
For straight to video, we actually shot them on the Panasonic GH4, which is actually just kind of like a DSLR that does 4K. It's kind of a, I don't know, popular online, I think, for certain people. There's the GH2, which was an earlier model that you could kind of hack the firmware and make it look better. So yeah, we just shot on that for this.
And did you how much lighting did you need to use? How much extra lighting did you need to bring in? You said that
quite a bit for this, because we had built quite a bit of sets for like straight to video, so a lot of them had to be lit from scratch. So we were able to kind of get fairly awesome lighting packages that we had a couple guys help us out on that and kind of light some of the sets and figure that out. So that was pretty much it, was the lighting that kind of put everything together for us, I think.
Well, it really makes it just seem like a higher tier production than, you know, the little Home Depot or the little hardware store lights that you're holding. When you got an actual big Leco, it really makes a big difference. And
actually, I mean, we'd still use those, but
yeah, don't get me wrong.
But for some of those things, we needed like a lot of lighting. And well, I mean, for this, we were lucky to have met we have a couple guys that are pretty awesome at it, and they kind of just took that over for us and figured it out. But we had a space that we built all these sets, and we had to flip them, and we had that for a week for.
Ironically, as the question goes, our space was at the college, Nate, which is where you would go and learn how to do film school. Like you'd go and take your film etiquette and all that stuff to be on set. So we were using their facility, although we never went to school. And we used a bunch of their students came out, and those are some of the alumni that were coming and doing our lighting for us. So it was a bit interesting to be in that school environment, to kind of be the guys making the project with students.
Yeah. Even though you never went to the
Never went. No, we didn't talk about it too much while we were there.
And was that basically because of the connection through the film festival you got that in there, or?
I think that was Matt Novak.
Oh, that's great.
That was it, Greg Jeff. So one of our producers set that up for us. He had a contact.
There was a space that they have at the school that they use for shooting projects, and it just so happened for that time period no one was using it. So we had somebody ask, and we were able to use the space for the
and the guy
lined up. So.
The guy was a fan of ours, so he was really excited to be involved as well.
Until we actually got there.
Yeah, trash them.
And presumably you said you actually built sets for that, so you had a construction
designed and built from scratch a lot of those sets. You'll see the alleyway. We're pretty proud of the 30-foot alley that we managed to fit in there, and all those space episodes of the spaceship we built, wet paint the day of shooting kind of thing, like
prison cell.
The prison cell. There was the green screen land. We did the gravel on the ground and stuff. So it was we made the most of the space for sure, and we got scaffolding in and built that big TV thing, and
learned a lot. We just kind of did it, and it worked. I mean, Tim draws up all the plans for the sets and kind of design them. We just kind of were like, well, we just got to do it, so we did it, and I think it turned out great. So
the only real location was the store and the cabin with Tristan Risk and the
office. There was the office.
And the office, everything else was in that set location.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And the jungle. I mean, that was outside, but
oh yeah, I guess that was outside. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about the jungle, and we have a question from a gentleman called Keith Hunt about Deadfest, which I'll come to in a few moments. But I was going to ask you about the jungle. Was that at the bottom of somebody's garden, or was that
pretty much? I mean, it was there's a great story behind that episode, which I don't really. I mean, I'll say a really condensed version, but that episode was supposed to be a completely different story and script, and we had some actors fell through the last minute, so we took Adam Brooks and we kind of took Kevin, and these guys had to rewrite the script the day before we had to shoot it, and that's what it turned into. It was supposed to be kind of like there was a bit more of a battle and there's some things going on, so it kind of ended up being this conversation between Kevin and Adam Brooks, and kind of like that Thing feeling, war movie kind of thing. And it was actually it was a property that was like not too far outside of the city that we were able to Matt Novak. Yeah, one of our producers, Matt Novak, who's family owned a house, so we were able to use like the little property.
Yeah.
And then there's the scene where in front of the fire, that was actually our backyard.
Yeah, that
there,
night,
so
big shout out to Adam Brooks,
who's
covered in mud for 13 hours and shot for probably about 4 of those 13 hours. But he just didn't want to take the mud off. He's just like, oh, whatever, we'll just let it ride. So he drove home from location back to our backyard, took like 3 hours to set up, and then sat down. We touched up his mud, and he's just a trooper, really, through and through. What a pleasure.
amazing dude.
Yeah, I was wondering about the mud in that episode as well. Okay, so the question from Keith Hunt is, love the sound of Deadfest. Is it strictly a film festival, or do other events take place during the festival? Or are you guys thinking of involving other events? I presume by other events, I don't know if you mean signings or what does happen.
At the moment, it is basically a film festival that goes a week long. If we have it in our budget, we have brought in guests in the past, and it's usually a lot of movies for 6 days. We are a licensed event, so you can drink in the theater. So on any given night, you're looking at 200 to 300 horror movie beer drinking fans having a good time, and then we'll continue that good time at the pub after the movies are done, and then do it all over the next day. We're hoping to expand it to give it more of I guess like a convention kind of feel to go with the film festival. But there's still some work to do on that side. So for now, it's basically just a film festival trying to bring this part of Canada some of the newest and craziest movies that we generally don't have a chance to see on the big screen. And you know, in this world of like video on demand and downloading, and I could watch at home. Still, nothing beats seeing these movies with a huge horror movie loving crowd drinking beers at the same time. It's just a totally different vibe. So we like to think of ourselves as a pretty fun time at a movie festival. So,
and how many films? So is it just the one screen at the film festival?
It takes the theater we use is an old theater. It's about 75 years old, and it fits about 500 people. It's a beautiful theater. It's called the Metro Theater. And it's one screen and we show goes Tuesday through a Sunday, so I guess about 19 movies throughout the week. And all of them are basically new, except we like to pick a couple retro movies. This year we're doing the 20th anniversary of Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. So looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun.
That's right. And Matt Novak is watching, and he says Greg got the studio space, and thank God. So much fun to have multiple sets built at the same time and not to be cramped in the store with 20 people.
And the gas-powered leaf blower.
I was going to bring that up. You got to tell that story, Tim.
So when the studio was great because it's got the really high ceilings and it's a really big warehouse setup. So there was no problems with asphyxiation. But when we were shooting down here, that pilot episode, we tried to get an electric leaf blower, couldn't get one, so Cody went and grabbed a gas-powered leaf blower. And
it's Sean Roberts.
Oh, okay. So whatever. Sean Roberts gets a gas-powered leaf blower. We get in here, and Kevin's getting sucked into the TV, so you got to have his hair going back. I mean, got to use those beautiful locks to their fullest. So we fire up that gas power leaf blower, and we're just going and going and going. And finally, somebody just throws their hands up. I think it's Angela or AD. Is just like, that's enough. Like everybody outside, and we all got outside, and all of a sudden realized that we're lightheaded because we're in this tiny space with this gas power leaf blower just going. But you know, it really made that shot quite incredible. I get a lot of positive feedback for just how awesome watching things fly around the store was.
But then I got my grandma's electric.
Yeah. But yeah, it was, things you don't think about when you're just ready for the shot. Like, man, I'm feeling lightheaded. Does anybody else feel lightheaded? I couldn't tell because we had beer on the set at the same time. So is it the booze or but I'm like, thank God for Angela going, we need to go outside now. We're all going to die in your video store. There are no windows in here. And it's just like, that was.
So luckily we survived to finish the series.
Yes, we did. We did survive. Yeah.
The moral of the story is there's always a way. Yeah. You just got to be willing to die a little bit.
Cool. I just wanted to rewind a little bit as well. Story Hive says you were awarded $50,000. Now, what is Story Hive and how is it related to TELUS Optic? Can you give me a bit of the background of the financing of this?
Okay, so basically, TELUS is a company here, and they decided they wanted to give out grants to projects to make different like mediums. So they did like short films was one where they're giving $10,000 per team to make a short film, and you make a project, your pitch video, and you're trying to get people to vote for you online basically. And the projects with the most votes, and it's kind of they're judged by a panel. They get awarded this money to make their project. So they decided to do one about web series, and they were giving away $10,000 to 15 teams to make a pilot episode. So basically, we thought it was a good opportunity to get funding to do something, and we kind of came up with straight to video because we had done a short film called The Last Video Store, which came out 2 years ago, which we could totally give you a link because it is online in certain spots, and we had like a festival tour with it and all this stuff. And we took that idea of Kevin kind of falling into these different movies, and we wanted to do a web series, and basically we managed to get the $10,000 to do the pilot episode, and then in the next stage in the contest was one team from each city, basically, because they split it between provinces here. So it was like teams from Alberta, teams from BC. They would select one from each of those to get $50,000 to finish your series. So we lucked out, and we were the ones that were able to get that grant to finish the series. So basically that's how it came about. So that's part of the reason we had like certain limitations that we had to follow since it was funded by TELUS. But I mean, in the end, we got money to do it, so that was the good thing.
Yeah, TELUS is like a communications company that's based out of Alberta and BC only. So they do the cell phones and TV. They do the optic TV, which is just a satellite television channel. And so it's really awesome for them to inspire and give the opportunity to independence. They do it about 3 times a year. So it's really incredible that they put these projects to go, and the Story Hive program just keeps rolling. We did our web series, and they've already done a music video one where they did the same kind of thing, awarding $10,000 to independent filmmakers to keep making their projects. And now they're back onto the short film one. So the contest is firing up again. So if you are in Canada or even in the UK or anywhere in the world where you're watching this, you can definitely find Story Hive. And I really encourage you to support the local filmmakers, because the more support they get internationally, the more they're going to keep doing these kind of programs and funding people like us and giving us this opportunity to meet with you and talk with you, talk the serious future of following our dreams. So they're doing a really solid thing for people in Alberta, BC, and thank you, TELUS.
Because I looked at the website, I kind of got the gist of what it is you've just explained, and I think it's quite extraordinary that people are there supporting independent filmmakers and web series and so on. I think it's so vital to keep grassroots things growing like that. I've got a couple of comments that just come in from our viewers. Keith Hunt mentioned that your description of the Dead Fest sounds awesome. Horror movies and beers, what could be better? Do the festival crowd turn up in fancy dress and get into the whole spirit?
Sometimes it all depends on the movie. I mean, if no different than if like the Rocky Horror Picture Show crowd, Rocky Horror Picture is being shown and people dress up. If we show like, especially if it's a retro movie, if we do something like a Return of the Living Dead or Hellraiser, people that know the movies, they show up.
We had a few zombies for Dead Snow 2.
Dead Snow 2, yeah. We had, it's always an awkward costume, and it's like, ooh, is that? Oh, good, it's a Nazi zombie. It's okay. It's not a guy just wearing a swastika. All right. Woo, big difference.
Yeah, that is very interesting. It sounds more like Fright Fest, which I just attended in London, except they're much bigger scale because they have about 4 or 5 different screens, and they had a cinema around the corner and so on.
One day.
Saw some amazing, really did see some amazing films there. Don Pettit says, funny thing is, I know of this store. Don's in Canada. Friends and colleagues of mine lived out in Edmonton for about 4 years and was telling me all about the store when they moved back. I'm quite impressed with the collection they acquire from you guys. Really know your stuff. Can't wait to see this next week. So, we've got plenty of time, and I'm going to invite some people. And I'm going to start saying to anybody who's watching who wants to come on and start asking questions live and having a conversation. I know Derek wants to join us, but anybody else who would like to come and join us, if you could start posting a comment to let me know you want to come on live, and I'll bring you on live in about 5 minutes or so. So yes, so it goes live next week. I'll be posting links to the Facebook page and to your website once I've got those links as well. But there were a couple of other technical questions I wanted to ask you guys whilst I've got you there. You, Tim and Cody, you said that you collaborate. You obviously take on slightly different roles, but do you write together as well, and how does that work?
Yeah, well, we come up with a story. The three of us, we all session and we come up with the stories, and you know, just as general rules go, Kevin and I often get pretty carried away, and Cody's always got his feet on the ground. So having that trifecta of, you know, the guy with all the movie references, the guy with his head in the clouds, and the guy with his feet on the ground, I think we managed to kind of homogenize all three, you know, what we want out of it to bring the story to life. And then really all I do is just kind of write down our transcripts of our conversations and throw a few tweaks and references in there. And then Kevin and I just go through every script and have a few beers and try and find the funny moments. And then when we get to the set, it's pretty fast and loose with, you know, what the script says isn't necessarily what's about to happen. We all feel comfortable enough with the concepts, and we all work so tightly together. It's very easy to just kind of let loose and let the story tell itself a lot of the time. And having your editor as one of your story collaborators makes the final product much easier to put together, because his head is always at the end, and it makes for a very good system. I feel like we really kind of nail those moments because we got the three-guy trifecta going on. So that's usually how the process goes.
These guys put it on. They're actually the writers. So.
I was going to say, so which screenwriting software do you use?
Final Draft. I do. I enjoy the Final Draft. Nice and easy, straightforward.
I was just a pen and paper and a pub kind of guy until he told me about Final Draft. But yeah,
it puts the headings in for you.
That's crazy. Yeah, technology.
Well, that's I've actually taken to not naming my characters with the same letter, because when you press the enter button to put the character's name in, it gives me a list, and I sometimes just put the wrong name in. A lot.
Yeah, no, I learned that one as well. I use Scrivener, and I've started exploring Fountain and some of the apps that will work with Fountain again. Yes, it's a really good tip. Make sure all your characters have different initial letters, because it's so much easier. You just have to, you know, type the one letter, return. It's there. That's all you really want to be concentrating on. And we mentioned that Cody does the editing. What software do you use for editing? And you do some VFX as well. You do some of the video effects as well. Is that right, Cody?
Yeah, that's correct. We use the Adobe Creative Suite. So like Premiere Pro for editing, and then After Effects for a lot of the visual effects and things like that, as well as Audition, because Tim actually does all the sound for it as well. So we use that whole Creative Suite, the Adobe.
And do you get together when you're? I mean, do you just sit in the same room with a? You know?
Yeah, we live together while we were making this project. So yeah, it's literally right across from each other. Okay, check this out. Okay, check that out. Okay, check that out.
It's just it's an insane kind of, because I mean our deadline for this project was really tight. So like when it came to the editing and the post production, we didn't have a lot of time. So it was just a mad rush of getting it all together, and the sound and the VFX.
Yeah, I'd literally be doing a sound effect. Cody would finish a scene and send it over to me so I could put sound in the scene, and then send it back to Cody so he could put the music in. And it was just very cyclical and very busy. And
we take a lot on just because we end up having to, because it comes down. It came down really last minute, so we kind of were forced to.
And we spent all the money on the sets and flying our friends out to be in our movies. So we didn't have any money for post-production, so we were doing it all ourselves.
And you mentioned you were up against a deadline. So how long did the entire process take?
4 months, 5 months.
Well, yeah, we started in November to November was when we put in our project for the pilot. We did our pilot in that
January.
month and a half. Yeah. We were done the pilot, and then
it was pretty much April to July, from beginning of script to final product. Like, it was a tight deadline
for all 5 episodes.
For all, 5 episodes at once.
And were you filming at weekends or during the week? Were these full weeks?
We had a block.
I managed to. The job that I did was pretty lenient. I was teaching kids, so it was part-time school hours, and then I didn't teach every day, so it gave me the opportunity to go and build sets and get things ready, and then we'd shoot at night, and then we did one weekend, which was a space episode. That was the first one we shot, and then we got everybody to take a week off from work and just back to back the other 4 episodes, which was insane. Thank you, volunteers. I gotta say, took that time off work.
It's a lot of learning. Yeah,
like I said, we spent all the money on the sets, so everybody volunteered, heart, soul, and blood for us, and that's really the foundation for what we're doing, and it makes me happy that everybody's digging it, because those volunteers really did make a huge effort.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we've got a couple of gentlemen joined us, Jonathan and Don. Jonathan is wearing the red shirt, and John is just looking very cool in a cap, really.
Hey, Don.
Ahoy!
Whoops. Jonathan's moving around all over the place.
I was moving around. I was going to show I have something very interesting to show our guests this evening in regards to the 20th anniversary of Demon Knight.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Check this out. I picked this up at Fright Fest.
Hold on, bear with me for just 2 seconds, Jonathan. Can you point again and hold and stay still? Can you see that, gentleman?
Can you make it? It's the screen's really small for us.
Yeah. If you can make that main screen, then that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm doing this on my phone.
That's sweet. Oh,
that's cool.
Oh man,
that's kind of horny.
Oh, that's sweet. That's just like the classic Tales from the Crypt covers. From the comic. That's really cool.
Wow, was that just from a random vendor? That's pretty cool.
That was at Fright Fest, the same event Nicholas went to. Yeah, it was I met up with a guy. He was selling it at a previous convention, and he offered me it, and I said, yeah, definitely, yeah, I'm up for that. There's only 200 of those in the world. I bought 2.
I would say that's a good deal.
That's pretty sweet.
That's very cool.
Oh, that's very cool. Sorry, I've just got a little message from my husband who's sitting downstairs, who's telling me that I stroke my beard like a Bond villain.
I didn't want to say anything, but every time you stroke it.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds so wrong.
So I'm going to try and keep my hand away from the end of my chin. Okay, Don, did you have a question for these guys? Don's now losing it entirely. Don can't speak because...
I'm all right. I'm good.
He'll get there eventually.
Oh, you're addressing... I thought you were still talking to Jonathan.
No, I was talking to you.
Oh,
do you have a question for these guys? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for all 3 of you, if you guys were to all choose, obviously it's probably not going to be the same because you all have different, you have different tastes and whatnot. But if you were all to choose one person that has kind of inspired you to do what you do, who would it be?
Okay, so I'm just going to repeat. Repeat the question just to make sure. So, if you could choose one person who had inspired
Like one director.
you, one director who had inspired you, who would it be?
It's tricky. Yeah, who wants to go first?
David Cronenberg for sure. His brand of weirdness and his dedication to just grossing everybody out and building those and telling an awesome story at the same time really drove me forward for sure. And just watching how his career has developed as he got a little bit older, and that's just how I wish my career could play out in a very similar way.
Okay.
I have so many different ones, I guess, throughout the years, but I guess I'll just for now I'm gonna say Shion Sono, like the Japanese director.
Mm-hmm.
He's,
Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah, why don't you play Hell and stuff like that? Just because he's like, I just think he's worked so hard to like get to where he was, and like all the movies, his early career, and he kind of finally broke through like a little bit later in his life, and he's just kind of like balls to the wall awesome. And he's got like such a like, I don't know, just unique, and like kind of do-it-yourself sensibility that like I really, really like. So I'm like a turbo fan of his, and I guess at the moment I would say his, but usually lots of filmmakers in their earlier careers, like the first couple movies they make, when they kind of just have to make them, and they don't have like a lot of money and stuff like that. So guys like that.
Yeah.
And Shinya Tsukamoto. I don't know. Like, today is a Japanese day, so.
It's okay. I'll take it back to basics. It's funny because these two guys are like 10 years younger than me, so I don't know if it's a generational thing, although Cronenberg's sweet. For me, it's a combination of like a young John Carpenter and
Nice.
a young Kevin Smith. Ironically, I say Kevin Smith because the whole video store thing, like I own a video store. Up until I met these guys, sure, I wanted to make movies when I was like a teenager, but you kind of grow up, you're like, well, it's a lost cause. I'll just be that guy telling people what movies suck and don't suck instead, educating the young. Be a pop culture professor of useless. And like Carpenter, and when I say Carpenter, like probably my favorite Carpenter movie is Assault on Precinct 13. Like, to me, it's one of his earliest flicks, aside from Dark Star. It's so simple and so good. And then, The Thing, and just that whole 80s vibe. Although my heart truly belongs in late 70s, early 80s slasher flicks, though. It's like the guiltiest pleasure of all. And I'm not even talking about Frat Teeth. I'm talking about ridiculously bad cheerleader camp and, Happy Birthday to Me and all that jazz. Basically all the cool Canadian slasher flicks that were made back in the day. But, yeah, I mean, but again, the thing with Carpenter and Smith, especially their old projects, it's the do-it-yourself attitude they had. And which, it's like the dream that everybody still wants to do. And thanks to meeting these guys, well, the dream is back on. All right, yeah,
man.
For sure, man.
Nice.
And I just want to share something that Keith Hunt, who's been asking some of the questions earlier on, he makes a point. As far as stories, etc., go, if someone has what they think is a great storyline, what would they do if they haven't got the know-how to turn that storyline into a full-blown movie? Is there a way to get that storyline to someone who could do something with it? Something like a group where you can submit stories, scripts, or to filmmakers? I think the answer to your question, Keith, is, and I'll come to these guys as well, is going to depend on where you live. Keith, if you could tell us where you live, then probably perhaps give you some more specific answers.
There's lots of great resources out there. Here in Edmonton, we have FAVA, which is the Film and Video Association, and they have lots of workshops that get you in contact with producers and other filmmakers in your city. I'm sure most major cities would have something like that. YEG Film on Facebook, that's actually a really great group of young filmmakers and independent filmmakers coming together and doing those kind of workshop situations. And like Cody said, like, just take it on yourself. You'd probably surprise yourself what you may be capable of, and just getting it, if it is a good idea that you think a lot of people would get behind, just like what we did, is we got out there, we showed people, and people actually found us that were interested in working with us and helping us out and taking it to the next level. So yeah, I'd say take it on yourself and get in contact with maybe some workshops. And if that doesn't pan out, just go to your local video store and bug the video store guy until he starts helping you. So.
It is interesting. I did a rain dance course on filmmaking, and one of the guys was saying that basically, if you have an iPhone, you have a camera that can, particularly the iPhone 6 now. A feature film is just going. I've seen a couple of notes about a feature film made with nothing but iPhone 6s. You know, to get a camera, learn about lighting and so on, just get out there and do it. I think is the simple thing to begin
Yeah,
with.
it's trial and error, really.
Yeah, you gotta just kind of make a couple, just get out there. Because I mean, when we started, like personally, it was just like the three of us plus like two other people, and we just kind of did it and didn't think about if it was gonna fail or not, and just kept on going, keep on going. I think that's like with anything. Really.
Got better and better, and
yeah.
As long as you're improving one way or another, people will get behind you. As we've experienced, the more we did, the better we got, and the more people seem to like it. So,
and the more we're going to keep growing and keep on going and just not giving up.
It takes time. It takes a lot of time, especially because we didn't go through the conventional routes. So you just got to pursue it to no end and just keep going.
Which is easier now, obviously, with like YouTube and stuff, because there's just so many resources. And,
everything's so cheap. It's not like 30 years ago where you had to buy like film. Like you couldn't afford that equipment. But now it's just, I mean, you can edit, in your office at work on your laptop. You couldn't do that 30 years ago or 25.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big difference. That means we can still have our dream of making our feature movie too. One day. One day.
Yeah, no, I think it was. Well, you mentioned earlier on, actually, before we came on live, that part of the reason for doing this and getting the web series out there, which is coming out this week, the 5 episodes that are coming out this week, you are hoping to take this further. So, what are the further plans for?
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess. Well, we're trying to sell that. We're going to try and sell the concept to some network out there that might be interested. We got a few on our radar, so we got producers in TIFF this weekend, making meetings with people, and we're just trying to get that out there. So that's really the next stage for us, is taking it to show, trying to build those 20-minute episodes. 10 episode long run, so see how many seasons we can kind of do that, really up our scale on our production and bring everything up to the snuff for TV, and then maybe in a few seasons worth we'll put together a feature and finally be out of the video store. As much as I love making these projects and I love the inspiration and I love this guy Kevin over here, I felt like I've been in the video store for forever, making movies about the video store, and it would be nice to see what else I might be capable of, we might be capable of very much so. So that's the plan though. So we're all video store for the next few years if all goes well on these meetings, and we can be making a full-on show that you'll be able to download pirated at some point.
That's where you've made it, when the stuff gets pirated.
Yeah, when we're number 2 on Pirate Bay, I can die happy.
Yeah.
yeah. We won't get into a conversation about pirating, because it is a great way for independent filmmakers really just stay small budget, because people steal their movies and therefore they never get any recompense for the hard work that they do.
Yeah, definitely. But in this day and age, I'm not even going to try and fight it. Just got to roll with the punches, and hopefully people like it enough to buy our swag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merchandise.
Yeah, it would be like a band. We got to tour with it.
Yeah, merchandising. Okay, well, Keith has come back to us and told us he's in the West Midlands. What I will do is, Keith, I will find you on YouTube, and I've got some links and some suggestions. I'll take this conversation offline, Keith. I've got some ideas as to where you might start and what it is you can do. We can start a dialogue after this. Jonathan, you very kindly showed us the poster. Did you actually have a question for these guys?
I did, yes. Craig was asking about a question, of course. As many of you know, I'm a bit of a video game nerd. I wanted to ask you guys, is there any particular video games that horror video games that you guys are into that may have in some ways inspired you to become filmmakers?
That's a good question.
That's good. Well, I definitely chalk up Resident Evil 2, just how cinematic that game was. I played the crap out of that on PlayStation 2, like just.
PS1.
Or was it PlayStation 1? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man,
When
that's
did
a
we
long time
release
ago.
it?
Yeah, so it played the crap out of that again and again and again, and yeah, that cinematic style definitely lended itself to discovering more horror movies and discovering a lot of that kind of that kind of outlet for it. And I love those horror games, of Silent Hill as well, like those cinematic ones.
Silent Hill 1
great.
series. I guess for me, it's not necessarily a horror game that had inspired me, but I imagine maybe even with Tim. I know the Metal Gear Solid series is probably a big inspiration because obviously that was inspired by like Escape from New York and all these kind of crazy elements, and sometimes they had like subtle horror elements in the series, and it was so goofy and outlandish. But that for me was kind of a big inspiration because yeah, the Metal Gear Solid series always had like a solid kind of crazy story that they were doing, and
always telling a narrative.
yeah.
I gotta be honest, I haven't been a big gamer since the late
Pong.
80s, early 90s. Hey, Pong, I'm not that old.
Yeah, it's a scary game. Pong's a scary game.
Yeah, I'll tell you, probably like since Friday the 13th for the original Nintendo came out.
Jaws.
Jaws for Nintendo was dope. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh,
There
I
are
knew-
big themes of the Jason from the Friday the 13th Nintendo game lying around, him in the blue mask. They do exist. Keep an eye out for them, man.
Oh yeah, they released that figure last year, actually, the Nintendo Jason figure, which is like
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Even Nightmare on Elm Street for Nintendo was actually kind of freaky.
The Nightmare-
Slaughterhouse too.
The Slaughterhouse was good.
Yeah.
The Nightmare on Elm Street game was great. It was the first 4-player game for the Nintendo. You had the NES satellite where you plugged in the 4 controllers. And they went by the whole Dream Warriors plotline.
I'm trying to. There's that new game that came out. What's it called?
Until Dawn?
Which one?
Until then.
Until
Until
Dawn.
Dawn.
Yeah. I'm curious about that.
Yeah,
It looks pretty cool.
yeah.
I watched some videos
Yeah,
and it sounds
awesome.
kind of creepy.
I'm an Xbox One guy. I'm not a PS4 guy. So.
Me too.
Oh,
Xbox for the win.
and of course, there's always Mortal Kombat. I mean, Kevin can attest for that. He's got a Mortal Kombat arcade machine sitting right here. So.
That's true. I got a Mortal Kombat arcade machine, Part 2, in my store. Pride and joy right there. That's high school for me.
I'm moving into your store. I'm officially moving into your store. Mortal Kombat.
Only if you can beat him at Mortal Kombat.
Just the arcade, where the arcade is, that's my bed, basically.
It's got a couch, so yeah.
It's comfy.
Couch there for a while.
There was one question I wanted to ask because I was fascinated by the credits as they scrolled across the screen at the end, because these guys very kindly gave me a preview of all 5 episodes. Why is your best boy Sean Bronze referred to as Night Danger?
Well, there was already a Sean on set, and as we discussed earlier, I don't really like to repeat myself when it comes to names, and I'm a very busybody, so I give everybody nicknames, especially when there's doubles. He's a young kid. He's one of my boss's sons, so he's 15 years old when we started this, 16 now, and he just
Like the opposite of it.
he's kind of the opposite. He's kind of soft-spoken. He's a little bit of a gangster kid or whatever. He's a riot, and I was just like, you need a nickname. You can't be around, and he just kind of, somebody said Night Danger, and we're like, oh, that's too cool for you, man. Like, you gotta earn Night Danger, and I don't know. In a lot of ways, he kind of did. He really stuck out those long hours, and he worked hard. He done a lot of those effects. He made that little centipede at the end that attacks Kevin. That's it was his project to do. So he really killed that. Made that little puppet, and it kind of earned the name Night Danger. I mean, sometimes he's Night Worm.
Night Worm, which was
That's if he fucks up.
Jeremy Gardner.
Jeremy Gardner from The Battery gave him the nickname Night Worm when he was in town.
He screwed up a few times, but yeah, that's it. He just kind of got the name Night Danger, and just be it that way. It just kind of stuck. He's night danger today, night worm tomorrow. So, and he loves the crap out of it that we gave him that credit, because he went around his school, his high school, and told everybody that he was in the credits as night danger. So we kind of had to deliver on that end, so he, you know, those girls didn't make fun of him.
Well, that was my last question, and obviously the secret of making movies is child exploitation. You 15-year-olds, yeah. This is obviously
nobody else was getting paid, so it's not really.
Gentlemen, this has been a real joy. I think part of the real joy is watching just the way that you guys work together, and this has been an absolutely fascinating story. We are now on 8 o'clock, and for once I'm actually going to close the show on time. But really, folks, I've seen this. I can't recommend this enough. It really is the most fun thing that I've seen in a long time, made with such love and dedication. You're really going to enjoy this. As you're saying, it's going to be on YouTube. It's free to watch, but please go in, watch as many times. Let's get those views up for each of those episodes, and comment, like, feedback to the guys, and just send them lots of love, basically. So, gentlemen, is there anything else you'd like to say as we say goodnight?
I mean, not really. I mean,
support your local video store if you have one.
If you have one still, yeah.
Support your local video store. Go out and rent movies, because no matter how many times you download it, they don't have special features, and they don't get the special ones. So support your local video stores, support your local film fests, and support your local filmmakers, because those guys work really hard to, you know, keep communities alive and keep people creative and keep movies fun and full of passion and life and love. So
yeah, and I just want to say thank you for having us on your show. This is awesome. I mean, somebody told me I'd be talking to the Chatterbox and my man from Nightbreed. Like, your 3 movies were like my high school years, so this is quite an honor for me. And he keeps rubbing his beard like a Bond villain, which is brilliant. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Very good. Yeah. Just doing this. Yeah. This is obviously my ultimate ambition, is to become a Bond villain.
Now you just gotta get the twirl in there as you're stroking it. Twirl it. Get the whole twirl going on.
I think I was trying to work out if I could actually get 2. I can probably get. When it gets longer, I can actually get 2 little things.
You get the Shavo from System of a Down.
Yeah.
Or like Pyme from Kill Bill Volume 2, the way he does that. I don't know if you've seen Kill Bill Volume 2, but Pyme, he does his thing with Biff.
Yeah. I got like an Anton Levine thing going on right now, but
Wow. Anton LaVey.
Yeah, absolutely. That really is showing your age. Yeah, absolutely.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Right, Jonathan, if you'd like to say goodnight, Jonathan.
Good night, Jonathan.
Good night. Yeah, Barbie did that last week.
I stole it from her.
Yeah.
I expect a lawsuit.
Yeah, good night from Jonathan. Good night from Don. Say good night, Don.
Nighty night. Sweet dreams.
And from my guests, Cody, Tim, and Kevin, thank you very much indeed. If you'd like to say good night.
Yes. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good afternoon if you're in our neighborhood. Yeah.
This has been Chattering with Nicholas Vincent. I've been chattering to Tim, Kevin, and Cody, the guys from behind Straight to Video, the B-Movie Odyssey, which is going to be out this coming week. Do please check it out. I'll see you next week on same time, same bat channel for Chattering with Paul Kane about monsters. And don't forget to give a list of your 3 favorite monsters. Okay, good night, guys.